Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Well, what's going on planet Earth right now? Oh my, what a busy place. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. One thing, the Hari Nam Sankirtan of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is catching fire. It's cranking up. Yesterday was a festival, Chandan Yatra. Chandan means sandalwood, and the deities are, because it's very hot, when it's hot, sandalwood paste. When the wood is ground into a paste, it's very cooling. You put it on your forehead or your body, it's very cooling. So the deity is black marble deity, and he's covered in chandan. So he just looks kind of like whitish. And also a flower outfit was made. The deity's clothes were flowers. They're all made out of flowers. This is pretty spectacular and breathtaking, actually. The visual experience, and then the kirtans were. The temple is trying to be careful not to have the government close them down because they're not following guidelines for the virus. But there was no way to contain it yesterday. Everything. The poor president came on, and she just prayed to Krishna that everything would be all right. Because forget distancing, forget even some of the devices, forget the masks, It just, Krishna, it broke out into spiritual riot. I tried to video some of it, but the videos don't do it justice. It was a hopping madhouse in there, screaming for Krishna, calling out for Krishna, glorifying Krishna. It's pretty, it's a sacrifice, the fire of Sankirtan. That's the Sankirtan fire. When they do sacrifices, they light a sacrificial fire. Well, these kirtans are actually a fire in sound. It's lighting the fire of the Harinam. It's actually, this is the sacrifice, but they light fires, they put things in the fire, and they chant mantras. Well, the Harinam, the Sankirtan especially, chanting together like that ignites a huge fire. Sankirtan Yagna. So they were fired up yesterday. It's pretty far out. A friend came over, a young friend who's trying to figure out how he fits into the whole thing. He's doing pretty good with it. Kind of a hippie type guy. And his girlfriend, really sweet. She was all dressed up. She looked like a little demi-goddess from the heavenly planets. She was all decked out. They came by later that night, and they had somehow or other gotten some of the flower decorations. So this was, I don't know what it was. There's a pin here. It was stuck on something. I don't know what it was. This is a decoration on somebody on the altar. It smells okay. These flowers look like they were grown at the temple. These look like homegrown flowers. And then, I know what these are. I can tell just by looking. These are flower earrings. See, they got the little metal clip right there. The little metal clip. Somebody's earrings. We had flower earrings. So the pujaris really outdid themselves decorating the deities in the altar. It's inconceivable how they did it all. It was quite a display. And then there's a little yellow rose with a pin in it. It was stuck on something somewhere. And somebody really got intricate with this. It's little tiny white flowers with a yellow button mum, and then another little purple flower inside. And I don't know, that speaks to me of Radharani, something maybe in her crown or something, because it's got like sticky on the back, stuck probably on the crown. So that was really sweet. And then this isn't an earring. I don't know what it is. Maybe somebody's nose ring. I don't know. So yeah, it was quite a deal yesterday. Kirtans were outrageous. They didn't stop for a minute. They just kept going well into the night. And yeah, it's pretty powerful stuff. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Krishna Chaitanya, Krishna Chaitanya, Krishna Chaitanya. What is it Prabhupada said? If all you can do is take prasadam, you can eat your way back home to Godhead? Well, if all I can do is appreciate what's going on, maybe I can appreciate my way back to Godhead. I'm counting on that, just to appreciate my way back. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna. I tried to come in a little close to one of the devotees, God sister, who was very fired up about. She has a certain viewpoint on Krishna consciousness and serving Prabhupada. She's very focused, and I tried to help and thought maybe I could help, maybe I could get some mercy, maybe I could get fired up, but it backfired. It's just not where I'm at, getting in the fight. It just, all the fight's gone. I don't fight anymore. It's all gone. So I just appreciate, I just appreciate. So I just wrote a nice apology letter that, I may have offended them or something. Maybe I said something that, I just came in too close thinking, I could help, Best way I can help is just appreciate from a distance. So I tried to write a nice apology letter, encouraging them, not finding fault or anything, just, yeah, thank you. Says it all. Hare Krishna. These batteries are running down. It's really sick. Gotta get in some new batteries. Hare Krishna. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Giradhar Srimad Gaura Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. It just makes me want to actually travel. It makes me want to hear more and more from the different devotees who are fired up and what their perspectives are and what they're fired up about. And yeah, it just makes me want to hear more and more from the different devotees. Yeah, their angle of vision, their perspective, and what fires them up, what gets them excited about Krishna consciousness. Like wanting to taste what they're tasting. Maybe get a little crumb of it, Yeah, I'm getting it out of this series that this video series. It's a podcast series that was started 3 years ago by Nam Ras, younger devotee. And he's interviewing all the different devotees, and he obviously has that desire to taste what they're tasting. And he's the interviewer, he's interviewing them. So it's like when somebody visits a holy place, they go on pilgrimage. It's kind of like going on a pilgrimage, because devotees are like walking holy places. So he's got that taste. He wants to visit these holy places, these devotees, and relish what their mood of service is and what their devotion is. So there's about 70 of these videos. I'll put a link in here somewhere on this video, and I'm up to about 7 or 8, and he's still doing it, and like once a week or something, and he's got probably about 80 of them by now. So I'm just kind of binging on those and meeting the devotees. It's like going to a holy place. Krishna's in the heart. They're waking up service to the Lord. They're becoming living holy places. They're becoming witnesses, living representatives for Krishna. They don't even know it, some of them. Or maybe they do. I don't know. It doesn't matter at this point, because they're engaged in serving Krishna, and glorifying Krishna. Musicians, doctors, scholars, cooks. I mean, they're all different, situated all differently. Just amazing, isn't it? Hare Krishna, Krishna. And a teeny tiny little goes such a long way in a dark place. The material world's very dark. Even just a little something, a little flower earring goes such a long way. Oh, that smells good. Goes such a long way. It's a little baby rose. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Okay, the International Society for Appreciation of Devotees. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Yes, good morning, Lance. Hare Krishna. Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shiva Sri Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Actually, without developing appreciation for devotees, whatever stage of development they're in, how can we expect to go back to the spiritual sky, back to the spiritual world, when it's filled with devotees? So it's a good time to practice now, appreciating devotees as part of training and purification for going back to the spiritual world, where everyone's a devotee. There's different ways to do it. Like, I was hearing one young man, he and his wife, they're devotees, they've been devotees for a while, and he's supporting his family, he's very enthusiastic, nice devotee. And they have 5 children. That's a lot for a devotee, a Western family devotee, with 5 children. And he was saying how he sees it as a way to learn how to love in preparation for going back to Godhead. That the way he put it was, if you want to love baby Krishna, you practice. We got 5 of them. We can practice loving baby Krishna. So you can understand that's a good marriage. That's really how marriage works in Krishna consciousness. It's a way to practice. So that other yoga systems, they don't have that because they're not particularly devotionally focused. They're more philosophically focused or internally focused or meditation focused or whatever. But devotionally focused, there's opportunity for that. It's a way to raise the consciousness to love of God on the material plane, using the material situation. It's really nice. Hare Krishna. So there's a lot of families like that now. I was at the temple yesterday's festival, and there were so many children, little ones, medium-sized ones. They're all devotees. They've all come, taken birth, to be part of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. There were so many. With loving parents bouncing them around and throwing them in the air and dancing with them. Yeah, Hare Krishna. The old days of suppression are pretty much wound down now, at least here in Alachua. And so many austerities were performed early on in the movement, and it was necessary. Those austerities that the early devotees did was very necessary to set the stage or plant the seed for what's now sprouting. I wanted to, I was thinking of like when you see a flower unfolding in time-lapse photography or a little shoot coming out of the ground, time-lapse. So the ground was prepared, it was tilled, it was perhaps some amending was done, some nutrients added to the soil, whatever, and it was tilled and aerated and prepared. That was the austerity. There was nothing there. And then the seed is planted and the little shoot comes out. Ooh, and then it can become a big tree with flowers and fruits. So that's what we're seeing. It's sprouting. The sprouting took place. Yeah. You see sometimes, like Prabhupada transplanted Vedic culture. Well, yes and no, except that he was just carrying the seed. There was nothing to transplant. There was nothing sprouted. He was carrying the seed. And he was, that old Johnny Appleseed went through the countryside in the early days of America, planting apple trees. As we see it sprouting, it's really beautiful. Yeah, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So, appreciation appreciate, appreciate my way back to Godhead. I can't do anything else. Like someone, they probably said, you can't. All you can do is eat prashadam. You can eat your way back. If all I can do is appreciate, then Hare Krishna. This is Krishna book, summary study of the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam, and the seeds of the Hare Krishna movement are here in these books, Prabhupada's books. Hare Krishna. This is chapter 67, the Marriage of Sāmba. Hare Krishna. So, Vidvid Gorilla was killed and delivered by Lord Balaram. Hare Krishna. In the last chapter. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And okay. Duryodhana, the son of Dhritarashtra, had a marriageable daughter by the name Lakshmana. She was a very highly qualified girl of the Kuru dynasty, and many princes wanted to marry her. In such cases, the Swayamvara ceremony is held so that the girl may select her husband according to her own choice. In Lakshmana's Swayamvara assembly, when the girl was to select her husband, Sāmba appeared. So we know how Duryodhana feels about the Pandavas, who are devotees of Krishna. And Sāmba is one of Krishna's sons. So, immediately the red flags went up for Duryodhana. He was the son of Krishna by Jambavati, and one of the chief wives of Lord Krishna. She was the second wife of Lord Krishna. The son Sāmba was so named because he was a very bad child, and he always lived close to his mother. The name Sāmba indicates a son who is very much his mother's pet. He was spoiled, in other words. Amba means mother, and Sa means with. So this special name was given to him because he always remained with his mother. He was also known as Jambavati Sutta for the same reason. As previously explained, all the sons of Krishna were as qualified as their great father, Lord Krishna. Sāmba wanted the daughter of Duryodhana, Lakshmana, although he was not inclined to have him. Therefore, Sāmba kidnapped Lakshmana by force from the Swayamvara assembly. Well, these weddings, they always bring out the fights, kidnapping, such passionate affairs, Kshatriyas, passionate fighting. Because Sāmba took Lakshmana away from the assembly by force, all the members of the Kuru dynasty, namely Dhritarashtra, Bhishma, Vidura, Ujjahan, and Arjuna, thought it an insult to their family tradition that the boy Sāmba could possibly have kidnapped their daughter. All of them knew that Lakshmana was not at all inclined to select him as a husband, and she was not given the chance to select her own husband. Instead, she was forcibly taken away by this boy. Therefore, they decided that he must be punished. They unanimously declared that he was most impudent and he had degraded the Kuru's family tradition. Therefore, all of them, under the counsel of the elder members of the Kuru family, decided to arrest the boy, but not kill him. They concluded that the girl could not be married to any boy other than Sāmba, since she had already been touched by him. According to the Vedic system, once being used by some boy, a girl cannot be married or given to any other boy. Nor would anyone agree to marry a girl who had already thus associated with another boy. There's this thing also that if a Kshatriya extends his hand to an unmarried woman and she accepts it, it's as good as marriage. She can't marry anybody, he has to marry her. Strict rules of society, they would not fly today. According to the Vedic system, nor would anyone agree to marry a girl who had already thus associated with another boy. Hare Krishna. The elderly members of the family, such as Bhishma, wanted to arrest him. All the members of the Kuru dynasty, especially the great fighters, joined together just to teach him a lesson, and Karna was made the commander-in-chief for the small army. It's interesting, Bhishma ran into a similar situation. He won the hand of 3 daughters. One of them, 3 princesses, he won the hand in a battle. He was quite old when he did it, and everyone was kind of disgusted that an old man would come to try and win the young princesses. And he did, he went and he fought and he won the princesses. But it wasn't for himself, it was for his younger brother, who was too young at the time to do that. So why he did that, why he didn't wait till his younger brother grew up, I don't know, I can't remember. But Bhishma did that. And he brought all 3 princesses back for his brother. But one of the princesses, I believe her name was Amba, she had already given her heart to, who was it? One of the other princes. I forget the name. He's a well-known prince in the Battle of Kurukshetra, king. She had already, communicated with him, her affections for him, like this. And so she told Bhishma, and she told Bhishma's brother, that she'd already given her heart to another prince. So Bhishma brought her back. And the prince said, well, I can't take her. You've already taken her. So they were tossing her back and forth. You've already taken her. She's been touched, claimed by you. I can't take her back. And so she was caught between, no one would take her. Her life was ruined. The princess, and no one would take her because of Bhishma. So she became furious, and she wanted to kill Bhishma. And she approached Lord Shiva, she approached the power to do that, and she left her body and took a male body. And she actually was the one in this new form that she was kind of like a transvestite situation. She transformed into a male, and because of this anger at Bhishma, and she was the drove Arjuna's chariot, not Krishna, on the day that Bhishma was slain. She was driving the chariot, and that was the day that she also shot arrows to kill Bhishma. And Sukalavya, no, that's somebody else. But the Mahabharata is so incredible. I forget Amba's name, and she transformed. So it's interesting here, Bhishma wanted to arrest Sāmba. This is before the Battle of Kurukshetra had taken place. But Bhishma was in a similar situation where he was involved with a woman being touched by someone and then not being able to be given to anybody else. So here Lakshmana didn't even want Sāmba. but he kidnapped her, took her away. So they decided to fight. And Karna was the commander-in-chief. While this plan was being made to arrest Sāmba, the Kurus counseled among themselves that upon his arrest, the members of the Yadu dynasty would be very angry with them. There was every possibility of the Yadus accepting the challenge and fighting with them. What were they going to do arresting Sāmba? They weren't going to kill him. What were they going to do to him? He had to be her husband now. What were they going to do? Maybe just show, act like a Kshatriya, not to lose their Kshatriya dignity, and arrest him. And then what were they going to do? Punish? How were they going to punish him? Whatever. But they also thought, okay, so they're anticipating the Yadus are going to come, and they're thinking, if they come here to fight with us, what would they do? The members of the Yadu dynasty cannot equal the members of the Kuru dynasty, because the kings of the Kuru dynasty are the emperors, whereas the kings of the Yadu dynasty are able to enjoy only their landed property. The Kurus thought, if they come here to challenge us because their son was arrested, we will nevertheless accept the fight. All of us will teach them a lesson, so that automatically they will become subdued under pressure, as the senses are subdued by the mystic yoga process, pranayama. Parenthesis, in the mechanical system of mystic yoga, the airs within the body are controlled, and the senses are subdued and checked from being engaged in anything other than meditation upon Lord Vishnu. In parenthesis. After consultation and after receiving permission from the elderly members of the Kuru dynasty, such as Bhisma and Dhritarashtra, 6 great warriors, Karna, Sala, Bharishrava, Yagnaketu, and Duryodhana, that's 5 of them, Duryodhana, the father of the girl, all Maharatis, and guided by the great fighter Bhishmadev, attempted to arrest the boy, Sāmba. There are different grades of fighters, including Maharati, Ekarati, and Rati, classified according to their fighting capacity. These Maharatis could fight alone with many thousands of men. Hare Krishna. One person fighting with 1,000 others. All of them combined together to arrest Sāmba. Sāmba was also a Maharati, but he was alone, and he had to fight with the 6 other Maharatis. Still, he was not deterred when he saw all the great fighters of the Kuru dynasty coming up behind him to arrest him. Alone, he turned towards them and took his nice bow, posing exactly as a lion stands adamant in the face of other animals. Karna was leading the party, and he challenged Sāmba. "Why are you fleeing? Just stand, and we shall teach you a lesson." When challenged by another Kshatriya to stand and fight, a Kshatriya cannot go away. He must fight. Therefore, as soon as Sāmba accepted the challenge and stood alone before him, he was overpowered by showers of arrows thrown by all the great warriors. As a lion is never afraid of being chased by many wolves and jackals, similarly, Sāmba, the glorious son of the Yadu dynasty, endowed with inconceivable potencies as the son of Lord Krishna, became very angry at the weapons of the Kuru dynasty the warriors of the Kuru dynasty, for improperly using arrows against him. He fought them with great talent. First of all, he struck each of the 6 charioteers with 6 separate arrows. Another 4 arrows were used to kill the charioteers' horses. 4 on each chariot. 1 arrow was used to kill the driver. 1 arrow was used for Karna, as well as the other celebrated fighters. While Sāmba was so diligently fighting alone with the 6 great warriors, they all appreciated the inconceivable potency of the boy. Even in the midst of fighting, they admitted frankly that this Sāmba was wonderful. But the fighting was conducted in the Kshatriya spirit, so altogether, although it was improper, they obliged Sāmba to get down from his chariot, now broken to pieces. Of the 6 warriors, 4 took care to kill Sāmba's 4 horses, and one of them managed to cut the string of Sāmba's bow, so that he could no longer fight with them. In this way, with great difficulty, and after a severe fight, Sāmba was left bereft of his chariot, and they were able to arrest him. Thus, the warriors of the Kuru dynasty accepted their great victory and took their daughter Lakshmana away from him. Thereafter, they entered the city of Hastinapur in great triumph. The great sage Narada immediately carried the news of the Yadu dynasty to the Yadu dynasty that Sāmba was arrested and told them the whole story. The members of the Yadu dynasty became very angry at Sāmba's being arrested, and improperly so, by 6 warriors. Now, with the permission of the head of the Yadu dynasty's king, Ugrasena, they prepared to attack the capital city of the Kuru dynasty. Although Lord Balaram knew very well that by slight provocation people are prepared to fight one another in the age of Kali. Jai Balaram! Balaram went on pilgrimage during the Battle of Kurukshetra. Forget it, I'm just going on pilgrimage, you work it out. He did not like the idea that the 2 great dynasties, Kuru dynasty and Yadu dynasty, would fight amongst themselves, even though they were influenced by Kali Yuga. Instead of fighting with them, he wisely thought, let me go there and see the situation. Let me try to see if the fight can be settled by mutual understanding. Balaram's idea was that if the Kuru dynasty could be induced to release Sāmba along with his wife, Lakshmana, then the fight could be avoided. He therefore immediately arranged for a nice chariot to go to Hastinapur, accompanied by learned priests and brahmanas, as well as by some of the elderly members of the Yadu dynasty. He was confident that the members of the Kuru dynasty would agree to this marriage and would avoid fighting amongst themselves. Lord Balaram proceeded. Lord Balaram is Krishna. He's an expansion of Krishna in the mood of service to Krishna as Krishna's older brother. He is Krishna. He's an expansion of Krishna in the mood of service to Krishna as his older brother. Wiser, protective, older brother and friend. Brother and friend. So, as a devotee, in the mood of a devotee of Krishna. But he is Krishna. Krishna likes to do that, obviously. So, Lord Balaram proceeded toward Hastinapur in this chariot, accompanied by the learned brahmanas and the elderly members of the Yadu dynasty. He looked like the moon shining in the clear sky amongst the glittering stars. When Lord Balaram reached the precincts of the city of Hastinapur, he did not enter, but stationed himself in a camp outside the city in a small garden house. Then he asked Uddhava to see the leaders of the Kuru dynasty and inquire from them whether they wanted to fight with the Yadu dynasty or make a settlement. Uddhava went to see the leaders of the Kuru dynasty and he met all the important members, including Bhishmadev, Dhritarashtra, Dronacharya, Bali, Duryodhana, and Balika. After offering them due respects, he informed them that Lord Balaram had already arrived at the garden, outside the city door. Now Lord Balaram had some affection for Duryodhana, of all people. Duryodhana had taken fighting lessons from Balaram. He had learned how to fight with the club from Balaram. Balaram was a kind of guru, a military teaching guru, like Dronacharya was a guru, taught military science. He had taken shelter of Lord Balaram. Balaram had some affection for Duryodhana as his student. The leaders of the Kuru dynasty, especially Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, were very joyful because they knew very well that Lord Balaram was a great well-wisher of their family. There were no bounds to their joy on hearing the news, and so immediately they welcomed Uddhava in order to properly receive Lord Balaram. They all took auspicious paraphernalia for his reception in their hands and went to see him outside the city door. According to their respective positions, they welcomed Lord Balaram by giving him in charity nice cows and arga, an assortment of articles such as artik, water, sweet preparations of honey, butter, etc., and flowers and garlands scented with pulp, because all of them knew the exalted position of Lord Balaram as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They bowed their heads before the Lord with great respect. They all exchanged words of reception by asking one another of their welfare, and when their formality was finished, they all exchanged words of reception by asking one another of their welfare, like, how are things going, what's up? And when such formality was finished, Lord Balaram, in a great voice, very patiently, submitted before them the following words for their consideration. My dear friends, this time I have come to you as a messenger with the order of the Lord Powerful King Ugrasena. Please, therefore, hear the order with attention and great care. Without wasting a single moment, please try to carry out the order. King Ugrasena knows very well that you warriors of the Kuru dynasty improperly fought with the pious Sāmba, who was alone, and that with great difficulty and tactics you have arrested him. We have all heard the news, but we're not very agitated because we are most intimately related to each other. I do not think we should disturb our good relationship. We should continue our friendship without any unnecessary fighting. Please, therefore, immediately release Sāmba and bring him along with his wife Lakshmana before me. When Lord Balaram spoke in a commanding tone, full of heroic assertion, supremacy, and chivalry, his statements were not appreciated by the leaders of the Kuru dynasty. Rather, all of them became agitated, and with great anger they said, "Hello? These words are very astonishing, but quite befitting the age of Kali. Otherwise, how could Balaram speak so vituperatively?" Oh no, what does vituperative mean? Vituperatively, Krishna. I have to find out. Vituperative. What the heck? Hare Krishna. Haribo. Vituperatively. Vituperative. Vituperatively. What does vituperative mean? Bitter, condemning, verbal abuse, condemning, blame. Okay, so that's what happened. they got offended. These words are very astonishing, but quite befitting the age of Kali. Otherwise, how could Balaram speak so vituperatively? The language and tone used by Balaram are simply abusive, and due to the influence of this age, it appears that the shoes befitting the feet want to rise to the top of the head where the helmet is worn, because they were considering they were sitting as emperors, and Ugrasena and the other members, they were in a subordinate position to the emperor. They were kings and they had their land and subjects to rule, but they were subordinate to the emperor. And Dhritarashtra was sitting on the throne. He was blind, but he was sitting on the throne. So they considered that they were in a superior position. So it appears that the shoes befitting the feet want to rise to the top of the head, where the helmet is worn. We are connected with the Yadu dynasty by marriage, and because of this, they have been given the chance to come and live with us, dine with us, and sleep with us. How magnanimous. Now they are taking advantage of these privileges. They had practically no position before we gave them a portion of our kingdom to rule, and now they are trying to command us. We have allowed the Yadu dynasty to use the royal insignias, like the whisk, the fan, the conch shell, white umbrella, crown, royal throne, sitting place, bedstead, and everything befitting the royal order. They should not have used such royal paraphernalia in our presence. But we did not check them due to our family relationships. Now they have the audacity to order us to do things. Well, this is enough of their impudency. We cannot allow them to do any more of these things, nor shall we allow them to use these royal insignias. It would be best to take all these things away. It is improper to feed a snake with milk, since such merciful activities simply increase his venom. The Yadu dynasty is now trying to go against those who have fed them so nicely. Their flourishing condition is due to our gifts and merciful behavior. And still they are so shameless, they're trying to order us. How regretful are all these activities. No one in the world can enjoy anything if the members of the Kuru dynasty, like Bhishma, Dronacharya, and Arjuna, do not allow them to. Exactly as a lamb cannot enjoy life in the presence of a lion. Without our desire, it is not even possible for the demigods in heaven, headed by King Indra, to find enjoyment in life, not to speak of ordinary human beings. So they're actually all speaking with the same voice, the leaders of the Kuru dynasty, with great anger. Actually, the members of the Kuru dynasty were very puffed up due to their opulence, kingdom, aristocracy, family tradition, great warriors, family members, and vast, expansive empire. They did not even observe common formalities of civilized society in the presence of Lord Balaram. Balaram doesn't usually like that. Ramaharshan Sutta had been selected by the sages at Naimisharanya to chalk out the path of religion and transcendence in the coming age of Kali Yuga. And Lord Balaram himself, he was on pilgrimage. I believe it was while the Battle of Kurukshetra was going on or something. Anyway, he was on pilgrimage, and he wandered into the assembly, and everyone recognized, wow, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Balaram, is here. But Ramaharshan Sutta didn't even get up off the Vyasasana. He just sat there. He didn't offer any respects. Lord Balaram didn't like it. He took a little piece of grass, the kind that they weave into sitting mats for yogis. They're called kusha grass. It's long. They weave it into sitting mats. And he touched them with it like it was a weapon. And he killed him with a blade of grass. Hare Krishna. His son, Sutta Goswami, who was more qualified, having heard the Bhagavatam in the assembly, Sukadev and Maharaj Parikshit, he was there and he had heard the Bhagavatam, and he was put on the Vyasasana and he spoke the Bhagavatam with Namasharani. So when Balaram isn't honored nicely, he doesn't like it. In the chess match also, he was playing chess and they started to make fun of him and accused him of cheating and retreating. He didn't like it. He took his club and wiped them all out. Hare Krishna. So this is dangerous. Kurus are treading on dangerous ground here. They did not observe common formalities of civilized society. And in the presence of Lord Balaram, they uttered insulting words about the Yadu dynasty. Speaking in this unmannerly way, they returned to their city of Hastinapur. They poo-pooed and then they stomped away. Kali is affected Kali Yuga. Although Lord Balaram patiently heard their insulting words and simply observed their uncivil behavior, from his appearance it was clear that he was burning with anger and was thinking of retaliating with great vengeance. His bodily features became so agitated that it was difficult for anyone to look at him. He laughed very loudly and said, "It is true that if a man becomes too puffed up because of his family, opulence, beauty, and material advancement, he no longer wants a peaceful life, but becomes belligerent toward others." He no longer wants a peaceful life, but becomes belligerent toward others. It is useless to give such a person good instruction for gentle behavior and peaceful life. But on the contrary, one should search out the ways and means to punish him. Generally, due to material opulence, a man becomes exactly like an animal. To give an animal peaceful instructions is useless, and the only means is argumentum vacillum. That looks like Latin. In other words, the only means to keep animals in order is a stick. Argumentum vacillum. Balaram continued, "Just see how impudent the members of the Kuru dynasty are. I wanted to make a peaceful settlement despite the anger of all the other members of the Yadu dynasty, including Lord Krishna himself. They were preparing to attack the whole kingdom of the Kuru dynasty, but I pacified them and took the trouble to come here to settle the affair without any fighting. Still, these rascals behave like this. It is clear that they do not want a peaceful settlement, but they are factually warmongers. With great pride, they have repeatedly insulted me by calling the Yadu dynasty ill names. Even the king of heaven, Indra, abides by the order of the Yadu dynasty, and you consider King Ugrasen, who is the head of the Bhoja, Vrishnis, Andakas, and Yadavas, to be the leader of a small phalanx? Your conclusion is wonderful. You do not care for King Ugrasen, whose order is obeyed even by King Indra." So they're both calling on King Indra Kurus. Even King Indra is under our command. And here Balaram says, and even King Indra, tossing King Indra around here. Hare Krishna. You do not care for Ugrasen, okay, whose order is obeyed even by King Indra. This is a way to measure, I guess, Kshatriya's powers. Consider the exalted position of the Yadu dynasty. They have forcibly used both the assembly house and the Parijata tree of the heavenly planet, and still you think that they cannot order you? Don't you even think that Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, can sit on the exalted royal throne and command everyone? All right, if your thinking is like that, then you deserve to be taught a very good lesson. You have thought it wise that the royal insignias like the whisk, fan, white umbrella, royal throne, and other princely paraphernalia not be used by the Yadu dynasty. Does this mean that even Lord Krishna, the Lord of the whole creation and husband of the goddess of fortune, cannot use the royal paraphernalia? The dust of Krishna's lotus feet is worshipped by all the great devotees, by all the great demigods. The Ganges water is inundating the whole world, and since it is emanating from his lotus feet, its banks have turned into great places of pilgrimage. So this is Krishna. Lord Balaram is Krishna in the mood of an older brother of Krishna. So we can see that coming out here. He's very protective and it's glorifying Krishna, but he is Krishna. But he's in this part of the older brother of Krishna, and he's defending Krishna. He doesn't like it that the Kurus are saying like this about Krishna, because he's acting as Krishna's older brother. Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. He wants to enjoy all different types of circumstances in relationship to himself. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So he's continuing here as Krishna's older brother. The principal deities of all planets are engaged in his service, and they consider themselves most fortunate to take the dust of the lotus feet of Krishna on their helmets. Great demigods like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and even the goddess of fortune, and I, are simply plenary parts of his spiritual identity. And still you think that he is not fit to use the royal insignia or even sit on the royal throne. Also, how regrettable it is that these fools consider us, the members of the Yadu dynasty, to be like shoes, and themselves like helmets. It is clear now that these leaders of the Kuru dynasty have become mad over their worldly possessions and opulence. Every statement they made was full of crazy proposals. I should immediately take them to task and bring them to their senses. If I do not take steps against them, it will be improper on my part. Therefore, on this very day, I shall rid the whole world of any trace of the Kuru dynasty. I shall finish them off immediately. While talking like this, Lord Balaram seemed so furious that he looked as if he could burn the whole cosmic creation to ashes. He stood up steadily, and taking his plow in his hand, began striking the earth with it. In this way, the whole city of Hastinapur was separated from the earth. Lord Balaram then began to drag the city toward the flowing water of the river Ganges. Because of this, there was a great tremor throughout Hastinapur, as if there had been an earthquake. And it seemed the whole city would be dismantled. I haven't read this in a while, and I don't remember this part very well. It's like, wow. But now I'm sort of kind of remembering. I think I read it once a while ago. Okay. When all the members of the Kuru dynasty saw that their city was about to fall into the water of the Ganges, and when they heard their citizens howling in great anxiety, they immediately came to their senses and understood what was happening. Thus, without waiting another second, they brought forward their daughter Lakshmana. They also brought Sāmba, who had forcibly tried to take her away, keeping him in the forefront, with Lakshmana at his back. All the members of the Kuru dynasty appeared before Lord Balaram with folded hands, just to beg the pardon of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, using good sense, they said, "Oh, Lord Balaram, you are the reservoir of all pleasures. You are the maintainer and support of the entire cosmic situation. Unfortunately, we were all unaware of your inconceivable potencies. Dear Lord, please consider us most foolish. Our intelligence was bewildered and not in order. Therefore, we have come before you to beg your pardon. Please excuse us. You are the original creator, sustainer, and annihilator of the whole cosmic manifestation, and still your position is always transcendental. Oh, all-powerful Lord, great sages speak about you. You are the original puppeteer, and everything in the world is just like your toys. Oh, unlimited one, you have a hold on everything, and like child's play, you hold all the planetary systems on your head. When the time for dissolution comes, you close up the whole cosmic manifestation within yourself. At that time, nothing remains but yourself, lying in the causal ocean as Mahavishnu. Our dear Lord, you have appeared on this earth in your transcendental body just for the maintenance of the cosmic situation. You are above all anger, envy, and enmity. Whatever you do, even in the form of chastisement, is auspicious for the whole material existence. We are offering our respectful obeisances unto you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare. We are offering our respectful obeisances unto you because you are the imperishable Supreme Personality of Godhead, the reservoir of all opulences and potencies. O Creator of innumerable universes, let us fall down and offer you our respectful obeisances again and again. We are now completely surrendered unto you. Please, therefore, be merciful upon us and give us your protection. When the prominent members of the Kuru dynasty, beginning with grandfather Bhisma, down to Arjuna and Duryodhana, had offered their respectful prayers in that way, what was Arjuna fighting against? Balaram. Arjuna was in this. Maybe it was another Arjuna. I don't know. Bhisma Dev, Arjuna, and Duryodhana offered their respectful prayers in that way. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Balaram, immediately became softened and assured them there was no cause for fear and they need not worry. Okay, so for the most part, it was the practice of the Kshatriya kings to inaugurate some kind of fighting between the parties of the bride and bridegroom before the marriage. It's just part of these Kshatriya things. Get some fighting going. When Sāmba forcibly took away Lakshmana, the elderly members of the Kuru dynasty were pleased to see that he was actually a suitable match for her. In order to see his personal strength, however, they fought with him, and without any respect for the regulations of fighting, they all arrested him. When the Yadu dynasty decided to release Sāmba from the confinement of the Kurus, Lord Balaram came personally to settle the matter, and as a powerful Kshatriya, he ordered them to free Sāmba immediately. The Kauravas became superficially insulted by this order, so they challenged Lord Balaram's power. They simply wanted to see him exhibit his inconceivable strength. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna. Thus, with great pleasure, they handed over their daughter to Sāmba, and the whole matter was settled. Duryodhana, being affectionate toward his daughter Lakshmana, had her married to Sāmba in great pomp. For her dowry, he first gave 1,200 elephants, each of which were at least 60 years old. Then he gave 10,000 nice horses, 6,000 chariots, which were dazzling like the sunshine, and 1,000 maidservants who were decorated with golden ornaments. Lord Balaram, the most prominent member of the Yadu dynasty, acted as guardian and the bridegroom of Sāmba. Guardian of the bridegroom of Sāmba, and very pleasingly accepted the dowry. Balaram was very satisfied after his great reception from the side of the Kurus, and accompanied by the newly married couple, he started towards his capital city of Dwarka. Hare Krishna. Krishna. Krishna Chaitanya. Lord Balaram triumphantly reached Dwarka, where he met with many citizens who were all his devotees and friends. When they all assembled, Lord Balaram narrated the whole story of the marriage, and they were astonished to see how Balaram had made the city of Hastinapur tremble like an earthquake. It is confirmed by Sukadeva Goswami that the site of Hastinapur is now known as New Delhi, and the river flowing through the city is called the Yamuna, although in those days it was known as the Ganges. From authorities like Jiva Goswami, it is also confirmed that the Ganges and the Yamuna are the same flowing river in different courses. The part of the Ganges which flows through Hastinapur to the area of Vrindavan is called the Yamuna because it is sanctified by the transcendental pastimes of Lord Krishna. The part of Hastinapur which slopes toward the Yamuna becomes inundated during the rainy season and reminds everyone of Lord Balaram's threatening to cast the city into the Ganges. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 67th chapter of Krishna, the marriage of Sāmba. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Chaitanya. Hare